Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satan and Coffee. It's good to see everybody. Um, I do apologize for the stint last week where there were no shows except for I think Friday night and Sunday. For those that don't know, my son was born last Monday. He came home on Saturday. And I feel like I'm doing like Solomon Grundy thing here now. It's kind of like what I was vibing with. Um, so yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satan and Coffee, and with me is Kurtis Joseph. He's been kind of trickling back into the live scene here. We've had him and Bonnie on quite a few times. In the past. I think Apocrypha's longest episode was with both Kurtis and Bonnie. I think we went for like 4 hours. Yeah, that was insanity.
It was fun though. I mean, it was engaging.
Yeah, it was. Also, I know Kurtis was on our first demonic panel. With Biker Witch and a couple of other people when we did the demonic panel. I really enjoyed that first one. The second one went downhill so quick. I can't remember who else was on, but it was just the conversations kind of started to turn into fights. I'm just kind of like, yeah, no. I was like, yeah. But it's good to have him back on because it's always a great conversation with you, man. To have you on.
Yeah, it is. I love having them.
And just kind of hash shit out and stuff like that. So, and I feel like Kurtis is kind of like I think you're a natural progression from the last guest, which was Thorn. So I feel like you have a middle ground. Like I think you have some similar ideas to Thorn, but you're more middle ground with it in the sense that not everybody is wrong and dead in the water.
Right.
Right. You know, and so I'm looking forward to this conversation. For those wondering what the conversation is, we are talking about the fragility of the modern occultist. So, as I was explaining to Kurtis right before we started the show here, because every time Kurtis and I have a conversation, it's almost like we're having a podcast, even if it's not being recorded. So that's the way our conversations go. But so I was talking to him. I was telling him some of the stuff that I've been reading. I was telling you some of the stuff that I was reading. So I was reading like Had It and Seligman stuff. Learned helplessness, safetyism, stuff like that. And so like with Had It and Lukanov's safetyism, like we're talked about kind of like moral panic around emotional safety, or the protection breeds paralysis type of thing. And when we're kind of looking at this stuff, or at least I was looking at this stuff, and I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, this is so fundamentally against the left-hand path that it is absolutely ridiculous. This idea of safe spaces, or being afraid of words, or trying to police speech, all of these types of things are like just in their fundamentals against the left-hand path. And so many people on the left-hand path want these safe spaces, want to police speech, have like this moral outrage and panic against words that threaten their emotional safety. And I'm going to be honest, I personally think that emotional safety is absolute bullshit.
It is. I agree with that statement 150%, because it's not real pain. If I hurt your feelings, dude, so what? There's real trauma in the effing world, man. Like, that's not a problem. What's wrong with you, pussy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I had an occult teacher, not a teacher of mine, but another occult teacher, a few weeks back, compare me to a fucking OnlyFans model.
Really?
looking for attention. And I'm like, I laughed about it. Like, this dude was literally trying to dig. Him and his fucking pretty neon, colorful, fucking fuzzy books. Like, fuck you. I'm not intimidated by you, motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And sitting there trying to hurt feelings. It's a waste of time, too. Like, that's not the objective. To have conversations, okay, it's maybe about when your feelings get hurt, maybe that's a taboo you need to break in order to grow. Because
Mm-hmm.
doesn't stress normally equate to growth? In one of your shorts, you were talking about Satan being the weight on the barbell.
Mm-hmm.
The growth happens through the discomfort, dummy. And if you're an antinomian, you embrace that.
Mm-hmm. 100%. 100%. I mean, and this is one of the reasons why I'm sitting here. Like, I was immediately like, it hit my head. I was like, dude, this doesn't make sense, because if you're looking for comfort, then you're in the wrong path. Like, and here's the thing. So we were also talking, like, I want to kind of cater to kind of where you're at currently with things, right? Is, it's not just, the left-hand path, right? It's life, right?
Yeah,
To grow and advance in life, living in your
yeah,
comfort zone, that's death. That's just,
it is.
and it's not even like a good death, like an ego death. It's like, it's like you're just, you know
Stasis.
yeah, you're
It's
stationary, you're not doing anything, you're not moving, and being afraid of having your feelings hurt. Like, and it's not to say, like, and I hate the fact that I have to put these caveats in, because somebody's inevitably going to come into the fucking comment section and be like, well, what about this situation? And it's like, the fact that you have to, like, be so fucking specific, it's just nauseating. But if you're talking about children, and a child is being called names and being bullied and being attacked by, like, say, by their parents or something, and they don't have a sense of safety with a child, that's different. Because a child, the way a child's mind works, is a child needs emotional safety in order to connect with an environment of safety, in order for their natural development. That is completely different. If we are talking about grown adults that cannot handle anything. Like, you had mentioned that the right of the past is now the left. And the funny thing is when you said that, like, something clicked in my head, because I sat there and I remembered all these people in a fucking uproar about, like, Manson back in, like, the 90s and shit, because of how he looked, how he dressed, the things he was saying, stuff like that, and saying, well, you can't say this and you can't say that. And it's the same shit repeated, just flipped now, like, there's always somebody out there trying to tell you that you can't say this, you can't do this, you can't express yourself that way, that this is wrong, and it's just, it's so ridiculous that, unfortunately, the dogma that we fought so hard against in the 90s and early 2000s is now the dogma that, like, is being created inside of what was supposed to be the anti-dogma, movement of the left-hand path, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's just disgusting.
it is. And dude. I've went over this with Bonnie so many times. You always become what you hate.
Mm-hmm.
And as a left-hand path man, in the past, talking about things like love, you tend to feel uncomfortable, but that's why I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And, back then, though, this is when everyone thought Danzig was a Satanist. Satanists back then, and I'm going to reiterate this point, they were fucking, tough. They were fucking black hair, wearing metal gear, spiked leather jackets. And now they've got pink and purple, bright green fucking hair, and they're at fucking No Kings fucking protests. And you just need to slap them because it's not antinomian. You've
Mm-hmm.
become the turn the other cheek, pussy ass Christian that gets your feelings hurt and then wants to go pray about it.
Mm-hmm.
Satan ain't gonna solve your problems. Like you said, he's the weight on the barbell. He's the
Exactly.
fire in your belly.
Mm-hmm.
He is the suffering that you need to embrace because that's your growth and the very source of it.
Mm-hmm.
You
Exactly.
know,
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's funny the amount of people. This it's on topic, but it wasn't in the show because I found this out last night. The amount of people that are messaging Dyra. So Dyra is my fiance, the mother of my son. So the amount of people messaging Dyra in her comment section, like asking her, like, why are one witch to another? Why are you following Trump? It's so unbecoming, and it's like, the fuck is wrong with you? Like, I mean, first and foremost, she's British. Okay. So, like, I mean, she doesn't even have a say in American politics. But number two, like, she's just interested in politics in general, like what the going ons and what's happening. But to have people just like, what are you doing going through who somebody else is following and then like trying to pick it apart and tell them that they're wrong?
right.
Like, what the
It's
fuck?
insanity. And that's the thing. And Americans hate America, but they don't understand that somebody that's British is going to follow Trump. Somebody that's in Mexico is going to follow Trump. Somebody that's in the UK is going to follow Trump because this is the leader of the free fucking world. As much as you think you're oppressed, motherfucker, you pussy ass mother, you're free. You're not oppressed. You're just not comfortable because you're not safe. This ain't a safety zone.
Well, I mean, life isn't a safety zone. Like, I mean, there's
Huh.
one thing about people in interpersonal relationships being respectful about things, and there's another thing about legislating like speech and telling people that, like, you know, they can or can't say something, or attempting or acting like something is legislated in speech, right? That, like, you can't say this, you can't say that, because the moment that starts to happen, like, it's 1984. It's 1984. Like, and the funny thing here is, I'm going to make this claim, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off by saying this.
Yeah.
But but the thing is at the end of the day, the very people that run rampant in this community, the occult community, many of the people in this community that claim to fight against fascism, I'm sorry, you're the fascists.
Yeah.
If you don't understand what fascist behavior is, you really need to look at what fascist behavior is and then look at your own behavior. And I promise you the parallels are stark.
Well, they're
It's,
synonymous. Yeah, they're the
yeah.
same. They're the
Mm-hmm.
same, man. And you know, this is what I need to, okay, like, I have to get political. The deportation issue. Let's talk about this just for a minute because I want to piss people off too. Okay? I just like
Okay.
doing it. Um, they enter the country illegally. We know this. They're not illegal people. That's not what we're saying when we say illegal aliens. But they broke a law. I can't go into Mexico right now without proper due process. They boot me out. It's happening now, right now as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
But these people come in here, they can't get jobs because they don't have identification. So they can't get jobs and pay taxes. What happens? They end up getting under the table jobs, doing landscaping, working for shitty hotels, right? For minimal wages. That's called slavery. Democracy has always been the party that has established and promoted slavery, and it still is. And these people think that they are, for good reasons, saying we lack compassion, we lack empathy. What are you talking about? You're allowing modern slavery, you stupid mother. You're stupid. You're
Hmm.
dumb. You're enslaving innocent people from Mexico, Venezuela, Nicaragua. I don't care where you come from, but those people have children that deserve to eat, that deserve to have resources, that they're going to be fighting to stay under the radar their entire time they're here. And now,
Hmm.
because we are actually enforcing the law, they want to blame it on Trump, but it's the law. And it has been since the Constitution. Well, it probably happened after an amendment was made, but regardless, it's always been law. It's just now we're enforcing it. You know what I mean? So this is why I said things are they've shifted. The Republicans of yesterday are the Democrats of today, and they don't realize it. Like you said, they're
Hmm.
the fascists. They are.
Yeah, I mean, so I do agree with the immigration thing. I put a caveat on it because I live in Mexico.
Mhm.
I think America does need to loosen the belt a little bit with the requirements to get into the country, because I have seen so many people that I've known for years, right, have every requirement met, spend $2,000-3,000 to go through the process of getting a visa and still get denied. And so I'm just like, if you want to see, if we want to see less illegal immigration, we need to make it a little bit easier. I'm not saying just open the border and let fucking people in, but I'm saying, like, you
Let
say
them
that
in.
this is you're saying this is the list of requirements. Somebody meets all those requirements, and then you still tell them no, and it's, you just kind of got to sit there and go, then what the fuck do you need to do, man? Like, I mean, because these
Right.
people, like these people will do this, will apply for these visas multiple times over the course of 5-10 years. And so we're talking
Yeah.
about, if you know, between $1,500 to $3,000 each time that they try to do it. That's a shit ton of money, you know?
Mhm.
So it's like,
Right.
if you're not going to let those people in, you know what I mean? Like, what are the requirements then? If on paper all of these people meet every single requirement, they've never been in trouble with the law, they've got money in the
Right.
bank, they've got all of this stuff, you know, um, you know, it's I think that they need to loosen the belt a little bit. I don't think they need to loosen the belt on illegal immigration. I think the stance on illegal immigration is fine,
Right.
but I think what does need to be loosened up is people getting in legally. Because what happens is, for those that don't know, trying to cross the border with a quixote isn't cheap, right? Trying to legally cross the border it's not a cheap process, right? So the thing is if you're going to pay a quixote to get you across the border illegally, you're looking at least about 100,000 pesos. So that's roughly about 2-3 grand per person, right? And what happens is the people that can't pay go into indentured slavery to the cartels. So the cartels will basically go, "It's fine, don't worry about it. You don't have money to cross, but you're gonna mule for us. You're gonna move product for us. Once you get over there, that's gonna be your job, right?" So what's happening is by America having such a chokehold on who gets in, it's creating the problem that the United States wants to fight against, right? And so it's like a vicious circle, right? That
Definitely.
just kind of keeps happening. And so that's why I say I
But see,
think we're the
that's the purpose of the American system, left versus right. See, it's like the two circuits or the two polarities of a battery, man. It's self-sustaining fucking slavery. I mean, and this is what I'm saying. The antinomian nature of the left-hand path is something I still embrace, even though I don't identify as left-hand path. But you're completely right. The stance on illegal immigration is valid, but making it impossible to get in legally makes people need to get in illegally, and then they do have to rely on the cartels. That, see, that sucks because those people are not just put in danger by being mules. We can talk about the kids that go missing. We can talk about people that are trafficked and molested and murdered and never heard from again.
Mm-hmm.
That happens. And you're going to be, because you want to get out of Mexico, you're going to put your kids through that. I don't see the logic in it. This is what most people on the right would say. But the thing is, when your country's run by cartels, what are you
Yeah.
going to do?
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is like the problem is I think that a lot of people, at least in this particular argument, are looking at the wrong side of things. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they're looking at people being deported and being kicked out of the country for coming in illegally. And it's like, I mean, you broke the law coming into the country, you know, that you come in on status of as a criminal because you already broke the law automatically by crossing the border illegally. But they don't look at what's happening on the other side of things, the process that everyone has to go through to get through to the United States to get a visa. It's not an easy process. So here's the thing. If you want to know how difficult it is to get into the United States, so here, think of it this way. I'm an American. I have an American passport. 90% of all countries, I can show up at the door, pay a little bit of money to get a stamp in my passport, and I can come in. $20 most places, right? Right, and I can get anywhere from 3 to 6 months on almost any country in the world. No restrictions whatsoever. My wife is British. She had to go through Dallas to come to Mexico last year. And supposedly, America and England are on the same page where a British person doesn't need a visa to come into to go into the United States. But they have this other thing called an ESTE, ESTE, right? That you have to pay for before you go into the United States. It's not a visa, but you still have to give like all of your information and apply for it and pay for it. The only difference is with this ESTA thing, like you're probably, unless you're like an outspoken criminal and anti-American, like you're 99% sure that you're going to get it, right? It's still a fucking visa. Right? I can't think of a single country, I can't think of anywhere in the world that somebody with their passport can show up to the United States, get a stamp on their passport, and come in.
Mm-mm.
Like,
no.
And
no.
It's just, it blows my fucking mind, man. It blows my fucking mind.
At the same time, though, this is what I know. It's also the reason we're the leader of the fucking free world. You know, I don't like it either. But that's a fundamental fact. We don't just let anybody in. It is kind of elitism. It sucks. It sucks, but the truth is, we are not all fucking equal. That's just the fucking truth. It's the truth.
We're not.
We're not. We're not. You know what I mean? Guys, the average IQ is 72, and these people think they're smart. That's it. That's terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying.
And do you know that that number has gone down since the 90s? The average IQ number has gone down. It used to be 98.
Since the 90s.
Since the 90s.
Oh, shit.
The average American IQ used to be around 89 to 98. That was the range. And you're 100% correct that the average IQ today is 72. We've lost almost 30 points of IQ in the last 20, 30 years.
That's incapable. The American military, that's why we're having so much trouble. Because the people are not capable enough to fight. You give them an order, they won't, but they think they're smart. See, that's the problem with stupidity. You never know you're fucking stupid. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And they'll this because stupid people, when somebody doesn't think like they do, they automatically think you're the stupid one.
Mm-hmm.
Not understanding that intelligence actually implies the ability to take in and assimilate someone else's points in order to expand your own consciousness. And that is
Mm-hmm.
definitely not Republican or Democrat. It's neither,
Yeah.
because both sides are rather exclusive to one another nowadays. There's no
Mm-hmm.
bipartisan anything.
Yeah,
Hence the
and just
government shutdown,
yeah,
the Schumer
yeah, and
shutdown.
just to clarify, like I'm kind of tired of people like making the term conservative be um
Christian.
inherently
It's not
Republican and Christian. I'm not
right.
Republican, I'm not Democrat, I'm not a Christian. I am conservative, but I am not by any means do I identify as a Republican or a Democrat or obviously a Christian, right? Let me look at the name of the fucking show. Um, so like people trying to make that correlation, like I know it's an easy one to make, but it needs to stop because I can't think of anything else to call myself that makes any sense. Because as human beings, we like labels. I mean, I shouldn't have to label myself for you to understand, what I'm about. But, just to kind of put it out there, like I'm kind of tired of people making that correlation. And so
Yeah.
to continue down, like what we're talking about here, so about the whole comfort thing, right? So the left-hand path begins, and I'm going to talk left-hand path because I am left-hand path. I do consider myself left-hand path. The left-hand path begins where comfort ends. Every Luciferian truth was born in pain because truth burns away illusion. A generation that fears pain will never reach gnosis. Ever.
Not ever. Not ever. I agree. Um, see, I don't identify Luciferianism with Satanism, though. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Luciferianism is not in any way Christian. Satanism can be because it's a part of Christian mythos.
Mm-hmm.
Lucifer was not ever in the Bible until it was translated into Latin. He was a consort of Diana.
Mm-hmm.
So Luciferianism at its heart and soul is actually more pagan, not Christian. And I identify with Lucifer being more right hand path because he's the bringer of light. Jesus Christ himself proclaimed to be Lucifer. I'm the bright morning star. That's Venus. This is why Christ's message was love. That's what Venus is associated with. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what Lucifer is associated with. So identifying Lucifer with Satan to me, this is just my personal take on things, isn't a thing. But I see that people do in the modern left hand path. I do think that there's a danger in that, though, because that's when we start blurring the lines ourselves and misappropriating things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
100%.
you know what I mean? The truth of that statement, though, is a matter of fact. And this is actually a very conservative idea because you're stopping to think things through until the end. You're not caught up in your emotions
Mm-hmm.
impulsively, right? You're thinking things through and you're saying, okay, when I lift 50 pounds, that kind of sucks. But then I hit this wall. So now I got to lift 70 pounds and that kind of sucks. And okay, well, you learned that that pain, that suckiness is what leads to the next level. And guess what? New levels, new devils.
Mm-hmm.
There's no safety in that, though, dude. Like the harder you work, the stupider you can get. You might forget to put a collar on the damn bar, and that 45-pound plate might fall on your foot.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantees. And that's it's a silly analogy, but it's common sense.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's common sense. Why people don't grasp it, it's beyond me. But there's no growth without the pain.
There isn't like
The- no.
it's ridiculous that we have an entire generation of people that believe that they have the right to not be offended. And so here's the thing. So what pushed me away from that side of things, the basis of my ideals as a human being definitely exist in the fundamentals of the Constitution of the United States. The freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, freedom of expression, freedom of the press, all of these things, because we understood that tyranny attacks each and every one of these things. The things that the fundamental amendments in the original amendments in the Constitution of the United States were built around the idea of everything that the founding fathers saw that in tyranny, the aspects of freedom that were always attacked before a tyrant takes over. And so creating the Constitution as the base document for the country to be run off of and how for people to live was to protect the people from the government taking those things away from them that were so necessary for a functional society.
Man. And this is what I need Americans to grasp. Without that, you'd be a scared motherfucker. I want anybody from America to go chill in Mexico for a month. You might not live. And you think things are better. The grass is always greener on the other side. And you said it, a functioning society. Who else has a Constitution of the United States? Nobody.
Like even England claims freedom of speech, and people are getting arrested for fucking Facebook posts. Like, I mean, think about that. You live in a country where you can insult the president, you can insult the government, you can insult any, federal organization, and legally no one can do anything to you. No one can touch you. You are 100% correct, safe and protected, in expressing those opinions. And almost nowhere else in the world are you able to do that and be protected in the same way. Grant you, in England, you can talk shit about, Stammer and whatever, and, they won't do anything. But the moment you say something that somebody else finds offensive online, the police are showing up at your door. And I've said this before. I said this with Throne or Thorn, and I'll say it again. The day that the police show up at my door because of a post or because of something that I said that's not a threat of violence, right? Because we know the whole doctrine on not being able to yell fire in a crowded theater when there's no fire, right? We know that one, right? Because it causes unnecessary panic. Outside of that, and I've said this before, I'm saying you're going to earn your paycheck today. Yeah. Like if government officials are going to show up at my door because of something I said online or because of my exercising my freedom of speech, that is going to be my first statement to them. It's like, it's nothing against you. I know you're just following orders, but so were the Nazis. And you are going to earn your paycheck today.
Oh, yeah. If you make it home, because I'm not going to prison. You're going to have to kill me. Over something I said? No, dude, I don't have to hold that kind of accountability for words that come out of my mouth that are natural. You know what I mean? Because they're a result of my own thought process. No, I'm going to die first. I will die first.
It's a hill that we should die on.
This is why our ancestors did die for this country, though. And this is what these pussy motherfuckers today need to understand. Their ancestors would be rolling over in their graves. And don't say, oh, well, our ancestors were slave owners. Look up the first slave owner. He was black. Look it up. Look it up.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? People are ignorant, though.
Well, it's again, it's the fear of ideas, right? Unfortunately, there's a lot of people on the left that cheer on that ideal, right? That people should be shut down for stuff that they say, or that when feelings are threatened, like when an emotional stability is threatened, then somebody needs to be attacked for it. And here's the thing. So what I want to contrast here is I want to contrast emotional harm with real violence, right? So your emotions, your feelings can be hurt by something that somebody says. And at the end of the day, you have the right to defend yourself verbally if somebody's attacking you verbally. And if you're not going to defend yourself, or you're going to take something that somebody says so personally that you feel attacked, that you feel injured, that you feel harmed and hurt, that says so much more about you than it does about the person that is saying shit. Because the person talking shit about you could be just a jackass and an asshole. But if you're going to sit there and you're going to cry about it and say, that this person, needs to have some type of legal repercussion or societal repercussion, because now then we're going into fucking communism, right? Because if we look at fucking China and the fucking, their fucking personal, scores inside of society, their societal scores, when we look at these things. Yeah. So if that is going to be your take, if that's going to be your direction, that's fascist. That's
by definition.
It's like, how can you not see that? Like, you are the very thing you say that you're trying to fight against, right?
Yeah,
like the moral inflation of harm is disgusting to me, because in particularly the people that can define themselves as occultists or left-hand path occultists, because again, the left-hand path is about going through that crucible of discomfort to come out on the other side of it. That's what it's about. Its entire foundation is built on getting through to the other side of discomfort to grow as a person, to become a better version of yourself.
Can I iterate something here?
Yeah, go for it.
What you're saying, you're making it specific to the left-hand path, and I can respect that. But let's just put all that aside for a minute and say this is what's best for human beings.
I agree.
We got what you're saying now about the left-hand path. Christians can say about their journey too. We got to carry our cross. So this is a universal principle that's beyond anything left, right. This is why we can get beyond politics in this discussion, because it really is universally applicable. What we're saying is knowledge brought forth, or it's wisdom brought forth through knowledge of our predecessors, dude. And we've seen what worked. We've studied it. We've done the reading. These motherfuckers these days aren't smart enough to read books and comprehend things. So don't sit here and try to educate me, young one. Why? And don't even try it, because you ain't got it. You don't have it up here, much less in here. If your feelings are getting hurt, you don't have the heart to teach me, homie, because I'm a roughneck motherfucker. Get the fuck out of here. But you are so right in that is the path that we should be taking. But I don't want to just say for the left-hand path, guys. This is common sense. What he's saying is applicable to humanity as a whole. Your fucking feelings don't actually get hurt. You might feel uncomfortable because someone says something that bothers you, but the statement he made is 150% true. Like, if you're hurt, check yourself. Check yourself. That says a lot about you and your capability to deal with the stressors of life. And if you can't deal with the stresses of life, man, I'm sorry you got parents. You shouldn't be here.
Yeah. I mean, the way that I break it down is to censor words is to chain thought. To chain thought is to murder a god within yourself. Yeah. To stop that discussion, to stop talks, to stop communication, because you're afraid of the communication, because you're afraid of the words that are going to be said.
I agree.
The reason I make it specific to, and I completely agree with you, I 100% agree with you. The reason I make it specific to the left-hand path is I expect more of people that claim to be on the left-hand path, because claiming yourself to the left-hand path, there is an inherent understanding that you need to have of how all of this functions and the necessity for you to grow through your own pain, right? Because at the end of the day, somebody can say anything that they want that's
Yeah.
inconsequential to your life. As if, for example, me being,
Yeah.
just for namesake, I'm going to say Satanist. I'm not a Satanist. I don't claim to be a Satanist. I say it because it's just easier for people to fucking understand, and I really don't feel like sitting here explaining every fucking goddamn time what it is I am for people to
Yeah.
understand. So we're just going to go with Satanist, Luciferian, whatever you want, right? So Luciferian, Satanist, goth, and a conservative. The amount of people that bombard me and sit there and say, you can't be goth and a Satanist or Luciferian if you're conservative. You can't be. Or the amount of people, even on the right, that come and say, well, you can't be a conservative if you're a Satanist or, a goth. And I'm like, I'm here. Like, I exist. So I don't know what the fuck to tell you. And here's the thing. Does it hurt my feelings if they say that I can't be something? No, because I know I am. It
Right.
doesn't hurt
Well,
my feelings. It doesn't bother me. The amount of people that come in and say, well, you can't, but I do. I am.
Yeah.
So what now?
Yeah. And look, if something actually hurts your feelings, go to the hospital and see what they tell you. See if they're going to give you. Are they going to put a cast on your little heart? Oh my god.
Right? I mean, well, I mean that's kind of the breakdown, isn't it? Isn't it? Like, so, and here's the thing, right? So speech equals creation. In my opinion, speech equals creation of thought, creation of ideas, creation of art. Like, even if you do stand against an idea, creation comes from standing against something. It comes standing for something. Violence equals annihilation. Violence is to destroy. Speech creates, right? It creates worlds. It bends
It
it.
does.
And so without that aspect of things where we're destroying the creation in the occult, right? We know to name something is spell work. We know this. We know that in the
Yes.
occult in general. Right. So it's spell work to name something, to be able to speak about it, right? And so when you censor the speech, the names that create, you are killing the archetypes of the path.
Mm.
Right? And that
You're
pain,
constraining. Yeah.
right? So here's a big thing, and this will be good for you because I know you're an expert in this, and this is one of the things I'm excited about having you on here. The alchemy of pain. Right? Because I know you're an expert in the whole alchemical process. It's like when you say Kurtis Joseph, people think alchemy, right?
Yeah.
Like you're known for it. So
Yeah. Well, it's
speak
simple.
to
Yeah.
that.
Well, it's very easy. Opposition is opportunity. I had an anti-cosmic Satanist come at me back when I started with Become a Living God years ago. And I was talking to him about the path of smoke and black magic environment. And this statement came up: opposition is opportunity. He blew a gasket, and he was supposed to be a '09A guy. Blew a gasket on me, dude. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Those things aren't the same. Are you stupid? But again, this is the weight on the barbell. A lot of people like to break down alchemical stages like they break down the chakras, like they're individual energy centers that, and okay, I've got a blockage in my throat chakra, so I have to stimulate the throat chakra or the Agna chakra. But you got to go through this holistic process to even reach that point of human consciousness, right? The aura is the composite chakra. That's the meta. That's the magical circle. But in regard to the alchemy of it all, like you were saying, uh, speech, spelling, it's creation, it's spell work. We're really talking about one of the same principles, except what we need to know is that Negrito or the dark night of the soul is albedo, or the purification. The fires of hell, it is the purification of the soul, and you've got to understand that interdependence, because those two processes together represent rubido, which is divine integration. And you can't have any one of those three integers without the other. This is my holy trinity as an alchemist. This is why I see Lucifer as the right hand path. I see Belial as the left hand path, and I see the dragon of the totality of what I'm trying to become and see through, perceive through. So that's my take on things. That's how I see things. We kind of just like getting beyond the politics of all of this shit, man. You got to get beyond the separation of left and right and just look at humanity as a whole and see what's best beyond the confines of a specific agenda, because they're both agendas. I'm an anarchist, a conservative anarchist, if that makes sense. And a lot of people would say, "Oh, well, that's tied to socialism. That's tied." No, no, because I'm a conservative. I believe in our freedom to govern ourselves.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, 100%.
so it's just the way I feel. But in regard to alchemy, man, yeah, it's opposition is opportunity. It's understanding the grind is a part of the growth.
Hmm.
They're synonymous, in fact, synonymous.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, I actually made that point. I think it was a couple of days ago as I was actually talking about the stages of, alchemy and, dealing with this kind of a similar conversation. Another thing I want to touch on here is because a lot of what we're talking about deals with psychology. For anybody that knows me, you know that I am obsessed with Carl Jung. And one of the things that Jung has said to the effect of what we're talking about here is what is not made conscious appears in our lives as fate. What does that mean? That means when we do not look at the shadow, we do not do the work to integrate the shadow. And again, shadow is not just negativity; it's all aspects of our hidden self. If we do not do the work to integrate the shadow, what ends up happening in our lives presents itself as if it was fated to us for it to happen, because we are not dealing with the shit that's inside of ourselves. Being offended by words, being afraid of words, feeling the necessity for safety in conversation is a big aspect of this, where you feel like you are fated to be oppressed because you're not integrating the aspects, the shadow aspects of yourself, and growing past it. Forgive me for saying this, but I do, and again, I think this is something that's going to piss people off, is I honestly feel that if you are one of these people that feel like, you deserve or have the right to not have your feelings hurt and not be offended, you need to grow up. You are a child. You are an infant. You
Infinite.
need to grow up. Like a child is
Or maybe.
upset because of words.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. 100%. And this is interesting too, because I was watching a Gnostic video yesterday, and they were talking about how the archons rule over fate, but they don't rule over you. And you're talking about fate actually representing those inner shadows that you refuse to integrate and work with,
Mm-hmm.
the parts of yourself that you suppress, that you oppress. And this just reminds me of this hermetic principle: as above, so below, as within, so without. There really is no separation between the gods and us. And this is why I can completely agree with you when you say things like, you know, the spelling, the speech, it is the magic. It's
Mm-hmm.
100% true. When you understand the interconnected nature of all of these things, it really is true, dude. And I can see the connections so easily in a pristine way. It's like shiny and beautiful. Most people are like, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you say that? Like, oh my God, you're gross. That's so ugly. And you're right. It's like a child in a grown ass meat suit still sitting in a fucking dirty diaper, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, my God, put on some clothes, take off that dirty diaper, go wash your ass,
Mm-hmm.
and let's put some clothes on you and talk. You know, let's
Mm-hmm.
come on, man. This is you're making it impossible to evolve and grow as a human race.
Mm-hmm.
They are literally the hindrance to human evolution. Now, does that mean? Because I know there's people thinking, see, he's one of these elitists that wants to eradicate humanity. No, 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 no. I'm saying humanity needs to be accountable to the extent that they want to be the best self they can be right now. And that whining ass bitch mode ain't it. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying.
Yeah, no, 100%,
It's
man.
that simple. Don't put words in my mouth, dude. Like
And here's another
I
thing.
love people.
Yeah. Here's another thing that this shit affects. So, also, anyone that knows me, I consider myself an artist. I am a creative. Like, I like to create
Oh, yeah.
things, you know, in the space of like, you know, what it is that's going on, thoughts in my mind, whatever, as a mirror and a reflection. Art, as we know, is a question, it's never a solution. Art has never been designed to be an answer to problems, but art does present questions and allows people to think. One of the things that happens in censorship, right, is art has always been designed to be provocative. Art is designed, it has a necessity, a function to be protestant, right? And so art is, in my opinion, the best way I know how to put it is sacred blasphemy, is what art is. Now, as of 2022, it is been reported that artists, whether written, visual, or otherwise, intentionally self-censor them, like practice self-censorship. Like that rate has gone through the roof because they believe or live in a mindset of being canceled, of being shut down, of being, you know what I mean? Like, well, it's better that something gets out than nothing gets out, because if I piss somebody off, you know, then there's no point. In the very function of an artist, in my opinion, has been degraded to nothing because they're afraid to do what an artist is supposed to do. When we declaw language, we declaw imagination. Creation dies, not from silence, but from politeness. Creation isn't polite. We know that in the alchemical process, we know in the occult, we know spiritually speaking, destruction must happen for creation to take place. And creation needs to happen for destruction to take place. Both of those things, it's a duality, but both of those things need to exist simultaneously. And when
They
we
do.
shut,
Yeah. They're a part of each other.
exactly, they're one and the same. The one cannot
Yeah.
exist without the other.
Albedo is negrito, which leads to libido. Same point. Yeah, man. But you said something so important. You said art is sacred blasphemy. That is wonderful to say. I mean, is this why they forbid graven images?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
100%. It
You
is.
know what I'm
It,
saying? Like, yeah, so it's a lot. It's a lot to swallow and think about. Yeah, man. I like it. It's a good thought process, man. And it's a thought process. That's what I can appreciate and always do appreciate about you. We can have these conversations and we can get out a lot of fucking deep points without hurting each other's feelings. We don't have to agree 100%, but we see the logic. But see, this is how we should all be able to talk. This is how growth should be able to occur. And when you get your feelings hurt so easily, that's what you're preventing.
mm-hmm.
This is why I can also say with 100% certainty that you literally do prevent human evolution as someone that's constantly being hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I say, Bonnie, she's a cancer, and she's always talking to me about how cancers, they tend to get their feelings hurt a lot. And I think she thinks that way because maybe she does, because my mom's a Cancer and she don't get her fucking feelings hurt. She'll drop a motherfucker on the back of their neck.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we can't put people in these astrological boxes. We can't do that because we are who we are and we experience that. Just like you becoming a conservative goth Satanist. You are that.
Yeah.
Nobody can convince you otherwise because your experience made you that. And you analyze your thought process and you saw, okay, this is what I am. These are the terms that I can use to explain to people how I am, how I operate in life. And when people say, no, you're not, that's not possible. It's they're literally denying reality. And this is the nature of the game. We're supposed to see reality so we can change it. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
art to me
Mm-hmm.
is. It's creating reality.
It is.
Yeah, man.
Or recreating reality,
Yeah.
and like things have changed. Many things in society have changed through art, right? We have
Yeah.
been able to advance as a society through the questions that art creates. I mean, art is, the cornerstone and the backbone, I believe, of, liberalism, like classic liberalism,
Yeah.
like,
Classic.
yeah, exactly. Not what today is. And
Right.
I think it's a necessary conversation, all the way down to like stupid political cartoonists. Like they've used art to exaggerate situations, to show a contrast, to allow people to think, visually about the situations that are happening around in the world. And every single artist in history has done that. Fuck. The artists that were contracted, many of the artists were contracted to paint churches. The Sistine Chapel. It
Oh,
was Michelangelo. There's so much like Luciferian imagery that's like stuck in the nooks and crannies of everything that the church never fucking picked up on. And it was that intentional contrast, that artists are responsible for creating to make people think. And it is that contrast that is being shut down because of people's fear of speech and conversation. And this is why I say the fragility of the modern occultist. When I came into the occult, not just the left-hand path, just the occult in general, I'm going to be honest, the people that I knew in the occult, these were people that I wouldn't necessarily say are dangerous, but these are people that you wouldn't want to fuck with. These are fuck around and find out kind of people, and it was amazing to me to be connected with these people that had these ideas. They were intelligent, they were ruthless, they were brutal, they were honest, but they were also compassionate, and so they had this entire sphere. You know what I mean? Of everything that, I wanted to encompass in my life. And I have sadly watched this thing that I love with all of my heart over the years degrade into a slump of slime on the fucking ground with no
yeah.
backbone whatsoever.
None.
And it's disgusting.
It's gross. It's disgusting. 100%. And I'm not afraid to tell anybody to my face. Message me. I'll tell you to your face. We can have this engagement. But art, the questions that it creates, a lot of people don't have the intelligence to grasp that idea.
Mm-hmm.
They can't think it through. They don't
Nope.
understand what you mean. And I bet a lot of them are in this fucking audience. They have no idea what you're saying. I hope they do. I hope so. Because you tend to have a very specific and regular audience.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Intelligent people. So that's good to know. But for me, I'm an artist. I create a lot of crazy shit. But you know, I got into creating all these superhero statues and shit. And I'm like, wait a minute, man. I can create fetishes, graven images.
Hmm.
I'm an occultist. I can seat spirits and I do all of this. And bro, I question myself as I'm creating. This is what I mean. Like I
Part of the
learn
fucking
about myself.
process.
Like, yeah, like, am I gonna burn in hell for this? This is a graven image. You know, I'm questioning myself. And then
Right?
is it
Yeah.
worth it? Is it worth it? And then you see this thing as it comes into existence, and you know, is it worth it? And you question it. You're like, man, no, I wouldn't say it's worth the weight of my soul. But then you embed gemstone eyes or something, and then you're
Hmm.
the awe and the beauty of it. And you're like, yeah, dude, I'll burn in hell over that. You know what I mean? That's beauty.
Yep.
And that's so beautiful. It's going to change somebody's life. When they buy that piece, they're going to be able to connect to that spirit and it's going to change their lives. You
Yeah.
know?
100%.
That sort of
100%.
thing, people need to be able to take statements like that and literally not just take it at the surface, but think it through and ask themselves, what did he mean by that? And if you don't have the intelligence, there's a problem. Check yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. No, art is, for me, art is spirituality. Art is spirituality
Mhm.
manifested physical. Art is the single most important aspect, I think, for me. Like in my opinion, this is just my opinion. It is the single most important aspect of humanity because it is truth
Yeah.
manifested. Um, you know, and I'm
Oh,
watching that fall apart as well. You know, like
yeah.
art isn't being
Because people don't
used.
want to get canceled.
Uh-huh. No, I mean, art's not being used to push things like it used to be. Like it used to be to push limits. Right now it's a marketing fucking strategy. You know, like the,
Yeah.
the things that like I would look at and say, oh, that's cool because, you know, that's kind of, you know, pushing, you know, the limits of what's acceptable. It's all turning into a fucking strategy now. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like I'm just the whole thing just pisses me to fuck off because it's being taken out of context and being perverted. Everything that I found liberating about occultism, about artistry, about all of these things is being taken out of context and being perverted. And
It is.
you know, it's just like an artist used to create because they wanted to create, and now they create because they want to create for other people and try to sell the shit and make money. And there's nothing wrong with trying to make money, but this is why, like, you would get artists like, for example, Joseph Fargo. Um, that he was very famous for vampiric imagery in his paintings and shit, or even better example, Geiger, man, fucking Geiger, like the king of Lovecraftian art, rest in peace, man. But he made what the fuck he wanted to make, and then took shit on the side to make money, right? And when he took shit on the side to make money, he still made what he wanted to make. If anybody likes Alien, Geiger, he invented that shit. You know, if you like the band Korn, the mic stand that fucking Jonathan Davis uses, Geiger fucking designed the fucking thing. So he would take these side jobs to make money. But why did he get those jobs? Because he made what he wanted to make, what came from his soul, right? It was his expression of like his truth manifested physically is
Yeah.
what he did. And he became known not because he catered to some fucking marketing trend, but because he was insistent on making what he wanted to
Doing what he
make.
wanted.
Exactly.
This is why I'm always telling people, man, a true occultist is not a one-trick pony. All these people out here that do drugs and alcohol to the point that it's destructive, you're not an occultist. If all you know and all you can talk about is magic, you're not an occultist. All of you armchair magicians out here, I'm talking about you. That's all you can talk about. You go onto Facebook and your entire day is spent on messaging boards and shit, talking about the occult. You're not an occultist. You're not an occultist. I'm an
You're not.
occultist. This man is
As
an
am I.
occultist.
But yeah, if all you're
And
going to do is come in
listen,
and just,
it's not just the art.
mm-hmm,
See, when you start to understand, you get to a certain point, man, you understand that you are the artistic medium, you are the clay. And that's what this is really about. Oh, so this is who I am, but I want to be this. How do I become that? And my transformation is constant. I've been proving this for years on end just to spite motherfuckers that want to limit me. From 2 years ago, I'm not the same man. I have the same thought process, but I might not have the same thoughts. Fuck, I am not the same man. I'm just not. And
yeah,
people can
100%.
look at me externally and see that I'm not the same man. It's not like, wait, he's changed. He acts different. No, it's not that. I'm an occultist. I'm a martial artist. I make fetishes. I have fun making Batman suits and Batman cowls. I can do a whole lot of shit. And I've learned to do it. And I've cultivated these skills fast. And I got great at this shit through the occult. The occult is art. The spelling, that's why it's called spelling. The speech is the art. And if you try to take that, try. Take it
Mm-hmm.
from me. I'll die first.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. And
I'm taking I'm taking it out, dude. I'm taking it out on everybody
yeah,
that
no.
tries to take me down.
So one
You know.
thing here, so in the chat, Kestra666 says, I feel that that is originally the idea was to be more kind and compassionate to each other, but then got hijacked by people who want to attempt to use it as a weapon to police thought. And I 100% agree with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be more kind and compassionate. I think that that's something that human beings need to practice. But the problem is when you begin to practice fascism in the attempt to do that, you are doing the exact opposite of what it is that you set out to do, right? You
Yeah,
said,
because then the people are too kind and compassionate to defend themselves. And the government steps in and enslaves you.
exactly. Now there's a list here. I wanted to throw something in here for people that like myself. So I'm a theistic, whatever the fuck, right? So I guess the thing is, be completely honest, and I keep saying this: Satanist and Luciferian really doesn't describe what I am. But like I said, I use those terms
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
the
I
easiest
understand.
one, right? So with you, I'm just gonna say whatever the fuck because you know what I mean. Uh,
Yeah, I do. Mhm.
so Lucifer, right? So what this is this is like left-hand path archetypes as psychological alchemy. And I wanted to present this to people because I want people to see it from my perspective. Lucifer's illumination through discomfort. Right? You need to be uncomfortable in order for the light to shine. Belial is responsibility as rebellion, right? So responsibility to the self, accountability to the self as rebellion. Lilith, self-sovereignty beyond approval, right? So focusing on your own agency and not looking for approval or like validation externally from yourself, knowing that I am what I am. And for example, me saying that I am a conservative goth Satanist, that's very Lilith in nature because it's my self-sovereignty is my agency beyond approval. I don't need approval from anyone else to say I am what I am, right? So that's that in practice. Asmodeus, desire as discipline. Leviathan, descent into depth. Right? So not just the abyss, but the depth of the soul, the depth of the self, the depth of the shadow, right? Is descending into yourself. And one that people I know are going to fucking disagree on because I constantly get into this goddamn argument, but Baphomet as integration through disillusion. So I know a lot of people are like, well, Baphomet's not an actual entity. So that's a whole other show. I'm not going to get into that. But
Yeah.
that's how I look at these entities in connection to what we're talking about. It's not about being comfortable. None of this is about being comfortable, right? It's uncomfortable. Like, I'll be honest, it is uncomfortable to have people from every angle coming at you saying you shouldn't exist, right? Like your ideas shouldn't exist. Your philosophy shouldn't exist, but it does. And do I
Yeah.
care that it's uncomfortable? No, I don't give a shit. I'm not looking for sympathy and saying that it's uncomfortable. It is what it
Oh,
is. Like I'm not saying that it being uncomfortable means that it needs to change. People are going to have their ideas and they're allowed to express them. And I'm just going to sit here and say, dude, I'm here. You can say I can't exist all you
okay.
want. I'm here.
let's I gotta bring something up. You stated before you went through this list,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what I'm gonna prove to people right now how two opposing arguments are literally the same thing. Theosis is apotheosis. Okay, you said you are a theistic Satanist, but
Mm-hmm.
you
Or
just went
theistic,
down
whatever the
this
fuck.
Jungian psychological list. And this is I found this interesting because this is what I teach my students to find the face of our gods in reality. That way, our faith doesn't have to be blind. You understand what these spirits are in your life, and you can see them
Mm-hmm.
operate in your life. You can learn to better compel that potential to move according to your will,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, as a theistic Satanist, though, you believe in these beings as real and sentient. Baphomet is a real entity.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck what anyone else says. But it is the potential of solve et coagula.
Mm-hmm.
It is disillusion, but it is integration.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the same as theosis being apotheosis, Lucifer being Belial,
Mm-hmm.
albedo being negrito, right? And the totality of albedo and negrito to see things from the higher perspective is to see that divine integration that is the one dragon, the libido, the integration, man. It's
Yeah.
the opposing sides, therefore, what we got to do is transcend them to see things from a bigger perspective. And this is what the left and the right truly are. They are performance and potential traps for the creator, for the divine spark within you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they are. So we've got to be more compassionate, my fellow politicians, whether you're Democratic or compassionate or Republican or whatever. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you can't say we need to be more compassionate yet judge other people for thinking differently and scream at them and call them fascists and say, no, you're
Mm-hmm.
wrong and hurrah, let's go protest. That's weak.
See, the
Hash
problem the
it out.
problem is I agree. I think that all across the board, I think left, right, center, whatever the fuck, I think everybody needs to be more compassionate, more tolerant. Like actually compassionate and tolerant, not like what the fucking modern left calls it. Like not their
Right.
idea of compassionate and tolerant, but I do think that everyone needs to be more compassionate and tolerant because when we look at the statement live and let live, which I know is a difficult statement for a lot of people to look at because Wicca has become a meme, fucking meme at this point. But, you know, live and let live is not a bad concept. Now, here's the thing, right? So I have said this multiple times, right? That being, you know, practicing in practice, live and let live is to say that if you do not encroach on me and my family's right to live our lives the way that we want to live our lives, I don't give a fuck how you live yours. I really don't care. Right? Do whatever it is that makes you feel complete, that makes you feel whole. I'm not going to tell you you're fucking wrong. Right. But the problem is most people, and this is where the fragility comes in, right, is that most people believe or feel that when somebody expresses an opinion, it's a threat because it encroaches on their way of life. I'm sorry, my disagreeing or not liking your way of life isn't me encroaching or telling you that you can't live that way. Polyamory. I don't agree with polyamory. I think it's a disgusting concept. I really do. Am I going to tell you that you can't be polyamorous? No, I'm not going to fucking tell you can't be polyamorous. That's not my fucking, that's nothing to do with me.
Right.
But I'm allowed to sit here and say that I think it's a disgusting concept because I do. What? It doesn't, that doesn't hurt you. That doesn't stop you from doing it. I'm not saying you should stop this or it should be illegal or anything like that. I'm just saying, to me, it's a disgusting concept and I don't support it. Am I still going to think you're a good person if you're a good person based off of the content of your character? Yes, 100%. You being polyamorous has nothing to do with me. And so the thing is like, but the problem is the fragility comes in is because every time somebody expresses a fucking opinion, everybody sits there and thinks that it's a threat to their way of life. And it's not. Expressing an opinion is not a threat to your way of life.
Not at all.
You telling me that I shouldn't exist isn't a threat to me.
I can see here's another example. I can say I don't think polyamory is disgusting, but I will say it never works. It never fucking works. I'm not going to call it disgusting, but these are different opinions. Is his feelings hurt over that statement? No. Am I Do I feel offended because he said he thinks polyamory is disgusting? No, I'm not polyamorous. But we're having a discussion about topics that are allowed to be talked about, and we should be able to do that. If we start being scared to communicate, we are scared to create. And when we become scared to create, the divine spark is enslaved. You are the titan in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
You are denying yourself your own power. And it's pathetic that people don't realize it. I feel bad for people in the 72 IQ phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrifying, though, when we understand that these people, I mean, this is the plan. Who is the Democratic governor? His plan to destroy America was just released. I don't know who his name
Was it
is.
one from New York?
Yeah,
Yeah, I can't remember
yeah,
his
where
name.
they're blowing it all over the place, man. It's all over freaking YouTube now. But that's a whole nother thing. A
Yeah,
lot
it
more
is.
time. But
So
regardless,
yeah. So on that note, I'm gonna have to call because I have to log into work in 8 minutes. And I need to go upstairs and swaddle the baby. So, but yeah, I mean, I do find that this discussion has been productive. I know, guys, that it probably sounds like an echo chamber, but Kurtis is probably one of the people that has disagreed with me most on lies. If you watch any of our past discussions, like there's a lot of things that him and I disagree on, and at the end of it, we're still friends and we still have conversations. Like disagreeing with somebody does not inherently mean that you need to hate someone. Like, and that's where again, that's part of that fragility, right? Is not being able thinking that you can't be associated with people that you disagree with. It's just,
it's
you know,
dangerous.
it is. It's absolutely, dangerous. So I hope that you guys got something out of this. And I know eventually, the social media mobs are going to come for me because of, what I say I am. And the only thing I say to that is fucking bring it.
Right.
just
Yeah,
bring
let's
it.
do this.
Like let's see what you got, because I've yet to find somebody that actually comes at me with a logical discussion instead of just trying to attack my character, because they can't argue with me. I automatically become a white supremacist, a misogynist, a Nazi. And I'm going to tell you something. Those words, because of you, no longer mean anything. Those words, they mean shit. Right, you destroyed the meaning behind them. Calling somebody a Nazi used to mean something. It doesn't mean anything anymore because it's just a name that you call people that you disagree with. So, yeah. With that being said, Kurtis, thank you so much for coming on. I'm definitely going to bring your ass on again.
Oh yeah, man. It's always fun. It's always a blast, dude, and it's always productive. So,
yeah. So to you guys
thanks for
out there on
having
the
me.
internet, no problem. It's my pleasure. As always, everyone, hail thy fucking self. I'll see you in the next one. Peace the fuck out.
Later.